Welcome to Iconic Leadership, the podcast for female entrepreneurs who know they're here to lead, not just build a business. This show is for women stepping into the Alpha Queen era, where leadership becomes identity, power is embodied, and success is created from the inside out. Here, we explore sovereign leadership, expansion, vision, purpose, business, and the inner work that is required to build an empire that fits the woman you are becoming. Strategy matters, but who you are matters more. I'm Carissa Atkins, and this is Iconic Leadership. Welcome to the new standard of the Alpha Queen power. Hey, ladies. Welcome back to Iconic Leadership, the show for driven female entrepreneurs who are ready to kick ass, take some names, get shit done, and live their most epic AF life. So today I'm really excited for the series that I am kind of launching, and it is called The Diary of a $500,000 Speaker, and really how I turned my voice into clients, cash, and of course, global impact. So today is kind of part one of this speaker series, and I am going to be pulling back the curtain on something that has, again, completely changed my business, my income, and honestly, my entire life. And that, ladies, is speaking. But not in a way that most people talk about it. So, not in the highlight reel, not on the get on stages and share your story energy. I'm talking about the real, unfiltered truth behind how I have personally generated over $500,000 from speaking, and why it is still my number one lead generating strategy to this very day. Because here's what I need you to understand right out of the gate, ladies. Speaking is not about being a good speaker. It's about being a powerful leader in a room. And most women, they're not doing that. Right? They're performing, they're hoping, they're inspiring, but they're not converting. And that's the difference between a good speaker and an extraordinary speaker. So in this episode, I'm taking you all the way back before the stages, before the clients, before the business, before the $500,000 hit my bank account, to where this actually all started for me. Because this didn't just happen overnight, right? My speaking career didn't just happen overnight. It was built. So let's get to it. All right. So ladies, I want to actually take you back to when I was a lot younger, because when I look back at my speaking career, I've actually been speaking for most of my entire life. Even before I had the language for it, people would tell me, Carissa, you have a voice. You're not afraid to use it. You're meant to be in front of people. And my first paid speaking gig was actually being on a stage in a play. It was called Blood Brothers. It was downtown Omaha, Nebraska, and I auditioned and I made the play, right? A little like 12-year-old girl, like, oh my gosh, it was crazy. I think I was the youngest kid in that particular in play, because it was a very adult-ish play. So I'm not going to tell you about Blood Brothers. If you're interested in what that play was about, go do some homework, go Google it a little bit. But either way, you guys, that was my very first paid speaking gig. Okay. And a lot of people think just keynote speaking is a way to get paid. But when we think about it, right, actors use their voice to get paid, comedians use their voice to get paid. And of course, entrepreneurs use their voice to get paid. And I got paid to perform. And I remember thinking, this feels so natural. This feels like something I want to do. But like a lot of people, life happens when between the ages of like 10, 11, 12, 13, all the way to grown-ass adulthood, right? Responsibilities happen. Survival mode happens. And somewhere along the way, I disconnected from the version of myself that wanted to be a powerful speaker. Not because I wasn't there, but because I convinced myself that it wasn't practical. And I know a lot of you listening can relate to that. You didn't lose your voice, you just stopped using it. So I want to fast forward a couple of years, and I found myself backstage yet again. My heart was racing, my mind was going crazy, every doubt in my body was coming up like, who do you think you are? You're not ready for this. This isn't your lane anymore. You're a coach. And I almost didn't even want to walk out. But when my name was called, I stepped onto the stage anyway. And the second that I did, ladies, my body remembered what my mind had forgotten. And that moment wasn't just about speaking for me. It was about returning to myself. It was about returning to the passion that once lived inside of me as a little girl. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong. They think if I just get on more stages, everything will fall into place. More visibility, more opportunities, more clients. And I'm going to be real with you. That's a freaking lie. Because you can speak on stages all day long and you will still walk away with no leads, no clients, no pipeline ready to buy from you. And then you're sitting there thinking, maybe speaking just doesn't work for me. No, speaking works. You just don't know how to work the room. And there's a big difference between a speaker who goes out on stage, gets tons of applause, and gets tons of high fives and gets tons of, oh, you were so inspiring. There's the difference between that speaker and the speaker who actually gets paid. The speaker who not only gets the high fives, the standing ovation, but also the clients. And it has everything to do with your message, your energy, and your ability to move people into action. Because at the end of the day, ladies, claps don't pay your bills, clients do. So I want to tell you about one moment that really changed everything for me. So at the time, I was applying to events consistently, right? I was constantly showing up every Friday. In fact, that was a time block on my calendar. It was 60 minutes where I would go and apply. I would do all my follow-ups. Like I was really trying to become a well-known paid speaker. And I was applying literally every week. And if I wasn't applying, then I was following up. It was just a constant thing, but it was one of my goals and dreams, right? And I'll be honest, some of these speaking engagements were free, some were paid, and some absolutely were pay to play. I didn't care. I just knew I needed to be in rooms impacting lives. And I remember applying for this one particular event and thinking, there's no freaking way they're going to pick me, because I didn't have a massive following. I didn't have all the, letters and credentials behind my name. I didn't have a signature, a polished signature talk yet, but I did have a story. I had a message and I had the audacity to say it, right? So I remember applying and, that little voice inside my head said, Carissa, all of these things, right? You don't have the following, you don't have this, you don't have that. But then another little voice said inside of me said, Carissa, why not you? So I applied. And one day I opened up an email and I saw their name in the subject line. And I literally thought, okay, here's the rejection, right? Brace for it. So I opened the email and it said, we've selected you as our headliner. I mean, literally, guys, I had to read this twice. Like, you selected Carissa as the headliner of your amazing event. And then came the part of me that really hit. They offered me $15,500 to pay or to be on their stage. They offered to cover my flights, they covered my hotel, all for a 40-minute keynote workshop talk. $15,000 for 40 minutes of my time. My flights again were covered, my hotel was covered. It was amazing. And at the time when I was still doubting myself, right? This really started to anchor in that I have something worth saying. And someone else sees the value in me. Someone else saw what I am capable of, and they were like, yes, yes, and hell yes, we want you on the stage. And you guys, that's when it clicked for me. Opportunities don't come because you feel ready. They come because you show up anyways. Now, let's go a little deeper, shall we? Because even with opportunities like that, most people still wouldn't know what to do with it. They would go and get on stage, they would tell their story, they would inspire people, they would get all the applause, standing ovation, and still walk away with nothing but all of that dopamine and that excitement in their bodies still. But here's the truth that nobody talks about. Speaking is not the business. It is the front end of a machine. If you don't have a clear message, a strong offer, a system to move people forward, you don't have a pipeline full of people who actually want to work with you. You have a moment, and moments don't scale. Systems do. That's why I've been able to generate over $500,000 from speaking. Not because I'm just good on a stage, but because I understand how to turn a connection into clients. I understand how to turn energy into action, how to turn my voice into constant revenue. And that's like the completely game-changing, definition of a good speaker to an extraordinary speaker. And this is where we're going to go deeper, okay? Because even with the best strategy in the world, if your identity is not aligned, you will sabotage everything. So you'll speak on stage, you'll get the applause, the standing ovation, and all the leads, and yet still feel very overwhelmed. Or you won't get the leads and feel like a failure. Either way, your internal dialogue is going to start to spiral because this isn't just a business. This is self-leadership. This is identity, and this is who you believe you are when you walk into the room. The most powerful speakers I know, they're not the most polished, they're not the most certain, they don't ask for attention, they command it. And that comes from within, this internal confidence, this internal fire to want to inspire and impact the world. So I'm telling you right now, ladies, you don't need a bigger audience. You don't need a better script. You don't need more credentials. You need a message that actually lands and offer people want and the conviction to own the room. And if you're listening to this right now and you're like, okay, Carissa, I know I am meant to speak. I know I have a message. I know I'm leaving money on the table. Then this is exactly where you start shifting everything. Because, ladies, your voice, it's not just something you use, it's an asset. And when you learn how to use that asset strategically, it has the potential to build your entire business. So, if you're ready to actually learn how to turn your voice into a client generating machine, I want you to go deeper with me. I recently hosted my Own the Stage from Invisible to In Demand speaker workshop. It's a 3-hour training where I literally broke down how to craft up your 6-figure keynote talk, how to position yourself as a speaker and authority in your industry. I talked about how to leverage and convert people from a stage into your pipeline. And I taught these women how to overcome their fear. Okay. So all you have to do if you want to get your hands on this easy to follow training, go ahead and send me a DM to my Instagram page. Okay. I want you to go over to my Instagram page, alpha_queen_Carissa, Karissa. Send me a DM that says in demand, and I will send you the link where you can purchase the replay of this amazing in demand series workshop. Okay. So if you're looking for a space where you can truly elevate your voice and your leadership and your business alongside other ambitious women, definitely consider coming over to the Alpha Queens Rising community and connect with other ambitious women. Okay. And if you're ready, like truly ready to go to your next level in your business and your life, if you're ready to earn your next $100,000 or, you're ready to step into that next version of a leader that you desire to be, I want to encourage you to book a 15-minute call with me. We'll identify exactly what's holding you back and then map out the next move to help you get more stages, your next $100,000, or the next move is your leadership. And of course, if this episode hit for you, make sure you subscribe, leave me a review, and comment your biggest takeaway over on our YouTube channel. I want to hear what landed for you. And remember, ladies, this is just part 1. And in the next episode, we're going to go even deeper into how to actually turn one talk into $50,000 to $100,000 in your business. All right. So I will see you next week on another show of Iconic Leadership. If you know someone who needs to hear this message or they have a powerful message and you're like, girl, you need to follow this girl so that you can become a paid speaker too, go ahead and just share this episode with any of your friends who want to be paid speakers or who really want to impact the world and really create a ripple effect for humanity. So go ahead and just share this episode with your friends. And until next time, I will see you later. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Iconic Leadership. If today's conversation activated something within you, make sure you subscribe and share this podcast with women who are ready to rise up too. Leaving a review helps this movement reach more women stepping into their power. This is Iconic Leadership.